I'm a director, scriptwriter, producer, and freedom fighter. I'm my own boss most of the time, except when I fall in love with a man, a dog, or a project. Then my independence is definitely compromised. To become a film director takes a lot of perseverance, hard work, and belief in yourself. Yet, believing in myself wasn't my strong point. I was born from a rather unconventional union in the heart of Europe, in Bern, Switzerland. In the 60s, Switzerland was a very racially homogeneous place. My dad came from Africa, from Egypt, to study pharmacy in Switzerland. He was one of the rare people of color. My mom was a striking beauty, and since she was the daughter of a prominent man, there was no shortage of marriage proposals. Against all odds, my mom chose an African, an Egyptian, a foreigner. She broke many rules and taboos. We all lived together in my grandparents' house until the day my dad mysteriously disappeared. Eventually, the photograph on my mom's dressers got replaced with another photograph of a new man. I was told that my father would not return. I cried, dropped on the floor, sobbing, like a fish out of water. In my mind, as a 5-year-old girl, my father had simply abandoned me. I felt unworthy, unwanted, and that wasn't the worst of it. He left me his unruly hair. There were no mixed race girls at my school, so I went to the hairdresser in Bern to try to fix my hair. Straight hair girls would try to comb out my natty knots. They would ask questions like, "Where did you get that hair from? Are you adopted?" I hated my dad for this. Growing up in Switzerland meant you're going to ski camps. And foggy winter weather meant you're going to have curly hair. When I went to bed, I would pull my hair straight, arrange it on the pillow in a futile attempt to keep it straight. I didn't want any questions about my origins, nor doubts, nor looks. Belonging was a lot of work. You had to be this or that, quieter, smarter, nicer. And of course, to always keep your hair straight. When you are a kid, to be different hurts, and for years I struggled to fit in, to be someone that I was not. That's why it was hard to believe in myself, because how can you believe in yourself when you're not yourself? 15 years later, I was 20. I went to live with my dad in Cairo, big, busy, buzzing city. There were so many scenes and characters to observe. I was diving right into a new life, a fish jumping back into the water, a moment of freedom and liberation. I left the town of Bern behind me, and with it, my bonsai personality, a personality groomed for conformity. My dad took me everywhere, to street cafes and even to the barber. He wanted to catch up for lost time and put me in a rather uncomfortable spot. I was always the only woman in these places, but my dad didn't care what other people say and about conventions. He taught me that freedom began when going to the barber shop. One night I have asked my dad why did he leave me as a kid and didn't return. I've learned that my own grandfather, an upstanding member of a man's fraternity lodge, had orchestrated my dad's deportation. Dad and I, we both cried over destiny or reality. I began filming my grandmother as if trying to come to terms with my own past. To be behind the camera had something comforting. I wasn't exposed while filming my grandmother's regrets. Filming became my way of understanding human nature and cope with the world around me. I spread my wings and flew from Cairo to New York City to take a summer class in filmmaking. A year later, I enrolled into the graduate program for film and television at the New York University and graduated with a master's degree. While living in New York City in the 80s and 90s, I was on my own, a small fish in a big pond. I had no other choice than to rely on myself and to survive. During my studies, I worked different jobs, from catering sweet little 16 parties to cleaning apartments for bankers or divorced fathers. I lived on the Lower East Side in a Puerto Rican neighborhood, a real rough place full of guns and drugs. In the grocery store, they would speak Spanish to me like I was one of them. I became street smart and spoke Spanish back and learned to swim with all kinds of sharks, overcoming fear and trusting in my decisions as a woman and as a filmmaker. While I was at NYU, the famed Polish director Krzysztof Kieslowski was my directing mentor. He always said that great directors tell stories differently, but linked to the same theme. I guess the fish out of water theme connects all my films. It's an obsession of mine that people in different places are thinking the same thing, but for different reasons. I make films to connect people to the other fish out of water. After graduating from NYU, my first feature film, Honey and Ashes, won over 18 international awards. Variety called it edgy and intelligent, and The Hollywood Reporter compared it to Thelma and Louise. I shot Honey and Ashes with mostly men on my crew. My first assistant ran my shoot, crew, and schedule. He would often argue and question the shots I had planned for the day. I struggled to assert my authority and had no other choice than to go to my second male assistant to convince the first assistant that my shots were right for the day. While my voice as a woman wasn't always heard, I didn't raise my voice. Instead, I learned creative ways to communicate my vision and to get what I wanted. In Paris, France, I directed another film called Small Differences with Maria de Medeiros. She played the girlfriend of Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction. I went through a painful shoot, listening to patronizing questions, arrogant crew telling me what French cinema was, and instruct me how to shoot my film. This was when I understood what it takes to command a crew and behave professionally despite disrespectful attitudes. To be a woman director in a male dominated industry is a challenge. I have to give 200%, be very well prepared to answer all the questions, know how to delegate, make fast decisions, and establish mutual respect. How to succeed? Concentrate on your work, follow your intuitions, but not your emotions. For a couple of years, I was also teaching at an American film school in Abu Dhabi. Later, I got promoted as the director of the school. When people came to my office, they shook hands with my assistant and called him boss, even though my desk took half of the room and my chair was as big as a throne. At the time, I took off Tuesdays to go to Dubai for cancer treatment. I developed an unhealthy relationship with a competitive colleague of mine, unsupportive, demeaning, and I still found reasons to justify his behavior. I realized that I was afraid of being alone to own my own life. Strangely, the struggle to survive made me face the shadow part, the part who didn't believe in myself, the part that doubted my own power of being myself without the fear of abandonment. In 2013, I left for Los Angeles. I got an agent, worked on scripts and series, and I also directed documentaries for television, including going undercover to interview a hitman, followed by another documentary about a young jihadist imprisoned in Africa. Since I can remember, I always had the urge to lift up a stone to see what's underneath. My latest film, Big Little Women, is linking my family story to three generations of women rebelling against patriarchal prohibitions. I continue to tell unheard stories, to take risks, and to find collaborators who believe in my talent and my vision. Big Little Women has won multiple awards and is now shown in selected theaters internationally. My guardian angel has always been perseverance. That's how I found shelter, community, and expanded my view on the world to broaden my compassion for others who felt undervalued. My career as a woman director was a series of adventurous opportunities that allowed me to grow as a filmmaker and as a human being, moving forward like a fish, comfortable in many waters, a big girl in a big world, no matter whether straight or not straight hair.